Welcome to the Foil Life Podcast, where we talk about foiling and the lifestyles of those who enjoy these great sports.
All right. Hey, Matt. Nice to see you again, man.
Hey, Luke. Good to see you too.
When was it then? I think it was the last time that we met was at, Florida, Pensacola.
We met in Pensacola. That's right. Yep, yeah. That was the first time we met. And it was an amazing event. I'm going to go back this year. Are you going to go?
Hoping to. We're waiting to hear from the guys there, but I'm hoping to. It was quite a bit of fun, actually. Frank had a blast.
Yeah.
He was a little bit afraid to come into the U.S. because of all the stuff that was going on, but I was like, it's gonna be fine. Americans are just like Canadians. We just kind of all love each other. And and it turned out to be a really super fun event.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think everything the city's doing, and like it's just a epicenter of foiling in America now.
I'm curious as to what happens, because I know they built up their event in, where was that one? Lake Garda. So I'm just really curious to see how this one takes off. But you've been charging recently. You reached out, right? And your Hurricane Erin was going off. And
that's right.
I think Cash got out.
I'm super excited to see his video. Yeah, when it comes out. I think he was in New York, which is a cool, I'm not sure, it's a different environment for him and a cool strike mission. But the whole East Coast got it, And I mean, the East Coast of the U.S. just has a really embedded hurricane culture, like everyone's always watching the storms and waiting for something. And obviously, nobody likes it when we get landfall and, people get, injured or killed or, destruction of property. But aside from that, we're always watching for the swells to come in and give us waves. And I mean, Erin was just perfect because it just went straight up the coast, stayed well offshore, and just pumped waves in our direction. So yeah, I think everyone I've been seeing, I just saw some clips today from Charleston, which is close to us, and some guys up, further north. And I know one guy that went to Canada and scored something good up there. So yeah, it was exciting. Where? I don't know exactly. I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Okay, so you're based in Wilmington, North Carolina.
That's right, yep.
All right, so we're looking at it right here.
When people think about North Carolina, they really think about the Outer Banks. And the Outer Banks is amazing, definitely. And they're a little bit further out to sea, if you will, and they can get kind of heavier conditions. But we have a phenomenal, setup here. Because we're still facing east, you can see there on the map, we get swell from all the directions where those south-facing beaches that are south of us don't get as much. And then cool. We've got, Wrightsville Beach is a barrier island. So, we got kind of out front, there's, beach break waves. We have inlet situations, and then we have outer shoals that are just sandbars that are further offshore that, start to... we'll catch hurricane swell and they'll even break far offshore, a half mile offshore. The wave could be breaking, but it's kind of soft, just sort of feathers, but you've got a great, face to work with. And we've been going out and messing around in those conditions for a long time. Windsurfing. I know you windsurf. I'm a windsurfer. And then guys go out there, stand up paddleboard, trying to catch these swells. Guys just paddle out on gliders and big surfboards. And then, of course, when we started foiling right away, we were like, this is going to be it. This is going to be the way to really harness this wave. And at first we were on the old Go Foil Evas. We just didn't have the right equipment. We'd paddle for a wave and just get bucked off it right away. And then as foils got better, it got better and better. And, now the equipment we have is incredible, and we can get into anything that's coming. So it's been amazing.
So for those that didn't catch the storm or didn't catch anything on the news, how big did the waves end up getting in your area?
I mean, I don't want to be the guy who overstates with the wave size.
70 footers. For sure,
I'll be super conservative and say 8 feet. I mean, we definitely had, and honestly, this waves for the surfers were phenomenal too. We are at full on, just peeling barrels, and the surf clips, if you could, look up surf clips from Hurricane Erin, were phenomenal as well. There's a lot of really good surfing. The thing with the surfing as is just, it gets so crowded. Like there's so many people now, and like all the parking lots are jammed, street parking is jammed, the brakes are jammed. And so if you're not like a really top tier, surfer, you're not going to catch very many waves because it's so competitive. And so this is where, as it pertains to foiling, like it's just broken open all of these possibilities to ride swell offshore and get us out of the lineup. And in this case, where we were surfing or where we were towing and foiling, the whole lineup is jammed with surfers, and they're all looking out to sea, of course, watching for waves. And then they're watching us. It was just like they were the auditorium, and they were just watching us towing into the swell on the outside.
Obviously, I don't know where this place is.
He says 15. See?
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
Can you see
where
the
this
name of the place?
based.
I can't read that; it's too small.
Hurricane Erin wasn't just one day event. She stuck around. Beautiful 15-footers. No, I don't know what it says.
Yeah,
but
could be probably somewhere up further north. Like that might be New Jersey or somewhere like that.
Whoa. Still, though, substantial size from this little thing. Normally what we do is we ride them on Lake Ontario. And I think the guys got out around that same time, to be honest. It was their first day on fins of the year. Because normally our season starts a little bit later, but I think I saw the group chat and everybody had gotten out for a little something. So
yeah, good. My friends on Lake Michigan got out as well. So yeah, I guess they must have got. But that's a wind event, and it probably is influenced by the storm. I remember that. I used to live on the Great Lakes and was part of the Great Lakes surfing cult of ice-bearded warriors. But yeah, I do remember. I remember actually Hurricane Sandy that hit New York. We got a phenomenal swell on Lake Michigan, like near Chicago. And I remember surfing that Hurricane Sandy. But yeah, anyway, as again, like foiling's just broken open all this new opportunity to ride the swell when we do get the hurricane swell. And then on top of that, like this year, things really broke up in with like a diversity of foilers on different equipment, which is really cool. Like we got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were the best days for us. And I was towing with my partner, Dale. And we were the only ski out there on the first day, but there were guys on e-foils, just on, like regular lift e-foils. There were guys on foil drive, foil assist. And there's a guy with a tow boogie. Have you seen the tow boogie before?
Yeah, we just saw those. Yeah, exactly. I think Dave West has one.
Yeah, to Mr. I think West. So. Yeah, the local guy, Ryan, has one, and he came out on that. That's an incredible tool. I have to tell you, I'm definitely going to blow up the tow boogie on here because his wave count was probably the highest. And he is in that clip that I sent with the different riders. He's the guy with like the bright orange hat on. But he was just getting wave after wave. The tow boogie is a really interesting tool, which again is like we're figuring this out as we go. Like, what's the best way to capture these waves? Towing was fantastic, but obviously you got to have a ski. You got to have two people. That's Dale. Right. He's my partner at NC Foil School.
All right, let's take a look at this thing.
A charger. He's been guiding tow surf adventures in Puerto Rico for like the last 10 years. And he and his wife, Carolyn, just moved back up to Wilmington. And Carolyn actually works for Lyft. But yeah, we've all partnered up and started NC Foil School. So we teach all disciplines of foiling and use the Lyft e-foils to teach. And it's been incredible. We've had a lot of students come through, a lot of interest in foiling this year.
Whoa, look at that line setup. Yeah. Man, that's like super proper clean.
You can't we're using the Insta 360 camera. Now, the GoPro was always notorious for shrinking your wave.
Yeah.
But we're using the Insta, but it's still, you can't see it. But you could, if you know what you're looking for, you're like, yeah, you can see the lines. So I guess it's not that one. It must be the next one. But there's a compilation. And I don't think the tow boogie's actually in it, so it's okay. But maybe you could play it.
Oh, here it is. I found it.
Like edit it in later. Yeah, but the guy who's riding the tow boogie has a clip in there. But yeah, the tow boogie, like,
here's the compilation
again, because it'll come pick him up, and he, you don't have another rider, communicating what's happening.
So talk us
And
through
so
this
then you're
one.
also not taking turns. Yeah, that's actually one of my first waves. This was actually my first tow session. I'd never towed before. And so this was all new to me. That was one of my first waves. And I got, I got down in the flats there, but I did get back into it. And
how big is this thing?
We're about
so
a half mile. We're about a half mile offshore. That's one of the your standard issue 8-foot hurricane swell. There were definitely, I think, there were definitely set waves that are bigger than that. Here's the compilation with the different riders.
Oh, nice. All right.
That's Jason Andre, local ripper. He's a really good foiler.
Man, that looks amazing.
Yeah. And he was also on one of the tow crews. And one of the other cool things, it's something to talk about, is just like, as all these different crafts are different foil crafts are kind of mixing it up in the lineup, like just safety.
True.
Again, we had e-foilers, we had foil assist, we had the tow boogie guy. Tow boogie is pretty safe, but the only thing with tow boogie is it doesn't have like obstacle avoidance. So when the rider, surfs his wave, and then the tow boogie just, kind of sits on the outside and waits for him to call it back. And then when it calls it back, it goes straight to him, but it doesn't know if there's an obstacle in the way. So like if you're sitting there between the tow boogie and the guy, you're going to get run over, which is, that's him right there, Ryan. It's just something to be aware of. If you're out riding with somebody who's riding tow boogie, you got to be aware of where the rider is and where the tow boogie is, and make sure you don't end up in between those two.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that period.
It's a quirky thing. I wouldn't have thought of it either, except we talked about it. But that's the thing. Like when, we had this whole group of guys going out there in, what for us are pretty, serious conditions. We're a little bit offshore. So, you got to be self-sufficient and everything. And so we all got together, like the day we had multiple tow crews, we had 3 skis out there, and we all got together and had a little briefing. One of those guys, Jason, has done that. It's the Big Wave Risk Assessment Group, I think. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, Bragg, yeah.
Yeah, Bragg, yeah. He's been through that course. So, and we have some guys with medical training. We had tourniquets. We had, so we were like very prepared and intentional about how we were going out there and have our safety plan and, running priority with the skis. Then also like intermingling with all these other, foil craft. We did have to talk to one of the guys. I won't throw him under the bus here, but he was like riding right into the surf break, which we're just like not doing that. We're staying way outside the surf break. And, everybody knows this, but like, these guys were not experienced surfers, and they, just didn't really know the etiquette and didn't know that wasn't cool. So, we communicated that, and they were fine. It was good. I mean, there was plenty for all of us to ride on the outside. So just being aware of that and not stepping on the surfers' toes. Obviously, the surfers are as excited as we are about the swell, but like I said, they're in the lineup, they're competing. It's like, they're not getting nearly the waves we were getting. I mean, we were, cleaning up compared to any of, the number of any waves the surfer got. So just being, respectful to the surfers that are out there. But again, it's not really a problem because there's so much opportunity for us, like way offshore.
Yeah, I can imagine. How was that first tow experience?
It was good. I mean, everything about it was new. It was like deep water starting, and we knew the storm was coming, so we had done a couple training days. And like I said, Dale's been towing people for a long time, and he's very experienced. So we trained on like doing deep water starts. We were riding I think it was like a 28 liter board. And then we started on the Lift 120, and then we went down to the Lift HA 90. So that's a tiny foil, like compared to what I'm used to riding. Like my small foil that I use for winging is like a 765, I think. And that 90 is like a 5. So it's under 600, I think. So it's like, very small foil. But again, like on these waves and the speeds we were going, it was the right tool for the job. It felt really controlled, even at high speed, and then still turny and loose. But yeah, the first couple of waves, I was just like, trying to not implode and like,
yeah.
and then getting used to the speed because it was a higher speed than, normally. I mean, I ride out there all the time and ride conditions that big, but I'm winging. Like it's usually in like a wind storm situation. And so it'll be 20 plus knots. And I mean, I've windsurfed out there many times. So I'm very used to being out there in those conditions. But having the power of a sail or a wing is just a different, makes it a different beast. Getting like hooked, into one of these waves was different. But so yeah, it was cool. It definitely took me a handful of waves to kind of get my feet under me. And then, I did. I had one drop that was like, I felt like I was just standing on the top of a black diamond, ski hill, and just, he towed me in perfectly, but I was like right at the very peak of the wave, and I actually thought I was going to come off the back of it, and I could see down the face, and I just gave it one pump and like just threw my weight forward and somehow got over the crest.
It's not the right video.
It's not this video, unfortunately, that we didn't get that one on film. But my point just to say all that was just that it was absolutely thrilling. I even surprised myself that the gear, which, I don't know, you ever had that experience? I remember one time I went to New York and to Long Island, and it was howling. I had windsurfing gear with me, but it was howling that day, and I all my gear was way too big. It was like 40 knots. And I ran into some kid in the parking lot was missing his mast extension or something. So I was like, hey, I'll loan you my mast extension if you let me take your gear out. And he had like it was like a 3.5 and a 75 liter board. And I'd never even been on a board that small. And, I thought I was going to, struggle or whatever. But as soon as I got on it, it was perfect. Just because you need that small of gear for the conditions. I just wasn't used to riding it. And it was the same thing here. Like, a couple waves to get my feet under me. And then you were on the perfect gear for the wave that you were riding. So it's all good. So not being, intimidated if you're going out in bigger conditions to size down on stuff, then, it's going to be okay.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Board and obviously full. I remember one time I went out with John Vu, one of our local rippers from Sandbanks, and we went to his home spot, I think in Ajax, Mm-hmm. And it was the biggest, for people who don't know the Great Lakes, swell there gets massive.
Honestly, I've never been more scared surfing anywhere. And I've surfed a lot of places, but I've been to Maui and surfed some big waves there. And I've, windsurfed in Maui and obviously like stuff like what we're doing here. But I was terrified one time on Lake Superior. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting your story. But
no, go ahead. Yeah. Well, I was saying what happened with us is I followed them out and they were so massive that I fell, and then a swell was building and behind me and I instaplaned as soon as water started. I was terrified to thought I would get thrown down. The thing, it was so big. So I came in and I came right to shore and I quit, and my friend was like, whoa, that was so good. Meanwhile, I was just absolutely terrified.
That's so funny.
Because it was just holy shit, this is big. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We were stand-up paddle surfing. It was when I worked for Starboard, and I was up there, seeing dealers, and it was near Duluth. And Lake Superior is it's just rocky cliffs. It just looks so foreboding, and the water's black because it's all rocky bottom. And of course, it's always cloudy whenever there's waves. But this was a point break, and the wave was peeling around, and it was 8 feet. It was every bit of 8 feet. I'm not saying any wave's bigger than 8 feet. Yeah. No, it was head high for sure, and maybe a little bigger. Maybe it was 8 feet. But it had enough room to make a couple turns, and then you had to kick out. And if you didn't kick out, the whole thing just turned into whitewater. And it went into this bay that was just all boulders. The beach was boulders and rocks. And it was just for sure you were just going to destroy all your gear and get killed if you didn't make it out. And so, I surfed a bunch of waves and caught them, and it was all good. And then I got caught inside on one, and I did get pushed into the beach. But the thing is, you're in a 5 mil suit, so you got all that buoyancy, and so you can't dive under anything. So you're kind of in the white water, just getting ragdolled, half floating, but still can't breathe. And the water's 37 degrees, and you got a 100-liter sup you're trying to deal with.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I did manage. I managed to get to shore, and probably the wetsuit probably helps injury prevention because you're wearing this like suit of armor. But
true.
Anyway, I made it to shore and went back out and caught some more. But I was like, I thought I was done for. So yeah, the Great Lakes are no joke for sure. People need to take it seriously.
And how's your spot comparative speaking? How big is Wilmington? Obviously, you're right on the coast.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like how many storms do you get in the fall? How's the riding?
Year to year is different. I mean, Wilmington is amazing because we have so many great setups for foiling. We have inlet setups where there's very consistently like small waves, and then when it gets bigger, when we get swell, it'll be bigger and can be really good. But the inlets are just really reliable for waves, so you can go out there. I mean, I subfoiled in the inlet. I think the buoy was reading like 1.3 feet, but a nice period, maybe like 8 seconds or 9 seconds. And I mean, it was so fun. I'm just riding my downwind board, like I've got a dragonfly. And put a big foil on, but I mean, I must have caught, I don't know, 20 plus waves, and it's fantastic. And we get that all the time out front. It's beach break, so definitely like I don't prone foil much. I try to, but there's a bunch of really good prone foil rippers here in town, but they're out all the time, getting waves just right out, on anywhere in front. There's, spots that are better than others, but pretty much jump in anywhere. And then we have this other inlet and the shoal. That's where the shoals are. That we riding on the northeast days, any kind of north wind direction, or if we get a bigger swell coming in. These are sandbars that are like a half a mile to a mile offshore. So they're, when we get the northeast systems in the fall and winter, that it can get really big out there and really fun. But so we just have this incredible diversity of conditions here for foiling. And then in the summer, we get like thermal breezes that blow pretty much daily. I mean, average probably 5 days a week from May through July. And it's windy enough to wing, that many days a week. So we just have like, I mean, there's weeks where you're just like, man, can it just not blow today? Because I'm exhausted. So yeah, it's a great, I mean, again, just as a person who has always loved the ocean. I mean, I came from like more of a wind sports background, grew up sailing and then windsurfing, and then started surfing like later in life. Like I think I was 35 when I learned how to surf. Foiling is just like opened up all these new opportunities, and you feel like a kid again. You feel like you just started, so much to look forward to, and all the different disciplines to learn and hone in on. Now, first couple pair of wings have showed up, and we're getting into that. So
how's that in your area? Did you see a lot of them?
It's a couple guys got them last year when they first came out. And that, like, we do have a downwind scene, but it's only a handful of guys that have really like put in the time and discipline to learn it. And because we don't get really good downwind conditions. We get what would probably be a very light sort of downwind condition. Most of the days, like for me personally, I would just wing because I love winging, and I didn't feel like I was missing out by not downwinding. Although I'm changing my opinion on that recently. I have been at least a little bit, but not quite about that. But,
and I'm changing back to just floating waves. After being in Maui during the downwind season, which everybody was jumping on, I found it was kind of fun because the waves weren't as good, but the other spots were empty. So we got to go play in all these cool spots with nobody around.
Yep.
And even at Ka'a in the summer, like I was still getting shoulder high wrap stuff. Yeah. And it's just as good as a mediocre day on the Great Lakes. You know what I mean? Like it's still a nice little bump. It's still catch. Foiling's still phenomenal. And I had some days at uppers that were head high. They weren't strong, like forceful waves, but I had some of my best foiling sessions. I think in July we got a mini north that came in or something. But while everybody was doing that, we had the whole place to ourselves. So downwinding.
So were you winging?
Yeah, I was winging or windsurfing in it. Yeah, the winging though, like one day it shut off. The wind shut off. I was on a 3.5, and I think it was on the 790 Atlas from KT with an incredible amount of low end, and then I just had these head high waves to myself, just carving. And I was surprised how well that foil would bank and hold a turn. because it's a little bit higher aspect than some of the other ones I was riding. So overall, I'm very impressed with what Kane's designed so far into that, and I'm curious to see what they're going to push for their, because they're going to come out with other foils, obviously. But thoroughly.
Do they have anything dropping at AWSI or not yet?
We're going to see what they have. I didn't hear of anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to see. I know that Kai's designing, there's a bunch of people working. The team there is big, and there's a bunch of people working on the background on new things. And so
did you see that like crazy ultra high aspect downwind wing or foil that Kai designed? It was on his Instagram. That thing was insane.
Yeah.
It just looked like a stiletto or like a dagger, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask, like, because I know you windsurf too. So, like, are you, like, when you're wing foiling, are you riding, like, you know, like, with windsurf influence to your wave riding, like the way Cash is doing, like powering your bottom turns and stuff, or no? Are you just letting the wing, like, luff out?
I let my wing luff out for the most part. What I found, I use it obviously to run away from whitewater, and I'm starting to find that sometimes it's good to have it powered, especially. But yeah, no, I haven't done those dramatic bottom turns yet. Maybe I'm hopefully going back. I'm working on getting back there this like February to spend spring there again. So if I can make that happen, maybe I'll practice those at Ka.
Nice. I don't know. I mean, by then wings will be outlawed, and
maybe,
and everyone will be it'll just be para wings only. That's the thing, though, that like
no, yeah.
Well, I'll go on a rant about this if you let me, but just like the kill culture really like drives me insane. Like why something new has to kill the old thing. You know, like going all the way back to the days when kiting came out and there, like everyone's putting the, like, windsurfing is canceled bumper stickers on their trucks and vans. It's just so frustrating. Like just because something new comes along doesn't mean the old thing is now irrelevant or isn't fun anymore. So I really appreciate that you're still windsurfing. Cause like any day there's like something fun to do and something cool to do. So like the para wings are coming out and then everyone's saying like, oh no, winging will be obsolete now, or it's just going to go away, and downwind paddling. Like, oh, no one wants to paddle anymore because you don't have to, you know, you could just like throw up your para wing and get on the wave and then ride it. So yeah, I just like, I'm not down for that. I just want to, I mean, I understand most people aren't going to learn all the different sports. And if you get into, you know, something, but I mean, I started foiling. I didn't sell my windsurf quiver. I still have like a relevant windsurf quiver, and I can go windsurf when I want to if the conditions are good. And it's still super fun when I do it. So that's just like my little rant.
That's your little rant. I agree with that.
There's a place for everything, you know, and it's all so fun.
I think a lot of that is just the heavy marketing put out by the brands that are trying to push the new thing. Pair winging definitely
there's
has
like a cool kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. There's also like a cool kid like kind of aspect where the cool kids are doing the newest thing, and like, and if you're still doing the other thing, then you're just like left behind.
The ones that get paid the $10 from the brands, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I think pair winging definitely has its place, and I think Hood and Maui and a lot of even La Ventana, Mexico, and a lot of nice downwinding areas, it's super fun. Now, potentially in wave implications, I don't really see it right now. There's too many dangerous situations with lines and getting wrapped, and it doesn't have the low end, and it can't get you out of trouble, and so there's no way winging disappears. But on the foiling end of things, because I was thinking about this when I was in Hawaii, is that my foiling's not peaked, but it's gotten to a level where the consequences go up severely. So you get to a certain level, you can surf head-high waves. I can jibe 99% of the time to get out. When I was at Ka'a, when it was like 10 feet or 8 feet on the outside, I would catch something that would rebuild on the inside. Because I was talking to Steve Meyer, who is the owner of No Limits and the founder and all that, and he was like, it gets pretty precarious when it gets big on a foil. And I was talking to Casey Hauser and some of the other guys, and even Sarah Hauser, his wife, who surfed like Jaws, and they were all a little concerned about me getting too Jones on the foil out there. So it was like, it kind of peaked. So that's where windsurfing hasn't, though, because you can duck dive your sail. Like I was at Ho'okipa, and also I finally got sail Ho'okipa, and then uppers where I had to duck dive 4 or 5 waves because I was just in a bad spot.
Yeah.
perfectly
I guess that's
fine.
what I'm saying is there's the right,
the right gear for the right stuff.
equipment for every situation. And that's what, I mean, winging and foiling in general have opened up a lot of opportunities for us to do cooler things and take better advantage of the conditions we have for sure. But I'll still go out and windsurf on if it's blowing, 30 knots or whatever.
And I think Kai's super good for that because Kai does everything.
He's the inspiration. Yeah,
absolutely everything. And his brother charges just as hard. They do everything. And it's really nice.
Zane, Zane Schweitzer is an example of that too. And he's like, I don't know, he's since his injury, he seems like he's a little more low profile right now, but he's definitely like an incredible, multi-sport athlete. So, I mean, there's a lot of the Maui crew definitely fall into that category. It's not just Kai, but Kai definitely is the,
it's just the epicenter.
Whatever. The epicenter, the guy who's out there. And I love that he's doing it and hopefully inspiring other people to get into different sports. But I was going to say too, though, I said all that about, loving to wing and all the wind sports, but I'm also like a little fixated right now on just foiling, like just riding the foil. Like I've just had a lot of inputs, my experiences, and then hearing other people talk about that recently around like, okay, I need to explore some of these disciplines. And that was part of what was so cool about towing was like no wing, no paddle, no anything in your hand. And this is what I'm hearing from like the Parawing crew.
Yes.
That is so cool about it is that you can use it to get going and then you can put it away and just ride the foil. And so I think I need to experience more of that, more time on foil without the influence of the wind. And I've always just defaulted to it, because I was a wind person. So I never, you talk to surfers who get into foiling and they're like, I don't know what to do with this thing. The wind, the wing, I mean, it's just like, they feel like it's clunky and it's in their way, where I never felt that way. But I am at a point now where I really want to spend hours on foil without, any other input and just really, ride the foil.
We're going to check out your images and add some more of them to see a little bit more of that depth. But it looks so fun and getting towed in like that with just foil. Yeah. That's something that's on my list to do as well. And
that's awesome.
It's opening up all these new different areas for all of us who, if there's no wind, the waves, they look phenomenally clean. So, which I'd never even thought of.
Yep. Normally when we have that kind of swell, it's, being pushed by wind and we have a big northeast and we're all winging or, windsurfing or doing some wind power sports. So this was just a real treat to get the swell without the wind and just have it be so clean. And yeah, it's just incredible. I learned a ton, felt like my foiling improved a lot. And yeah, it was a very cool experience.
Any crazy breaches or any close calls or any of that stuff for you when you're like running down? And I've seen anything on a big wave or a bigger wave, you'll see all the guys kind of hold their breath or just slowly deep breathe. It's all this where you're just like, hold it together, man.
I was definitely doing that, like getting onto the waves. It was really just to calm myself down and get into meditative state. I mean, like I said, I've spent a lot of time out there in those conditions, but doing other sports, windsurfing or whatever. So I know this situation pretty well. And I know the wave, even though when it looks massive, it's not going to break on your head. If you're on the outside, if you're on the inside, it definitely does break on your head. But, we're out there, the wave's going to pass over you. You don't have to dive under it or anything. That gave me a little more, I was confident in the conditions, I guess I would say. When I wasn't confident was like hitting those really high speeds, the first couple waves. And then I got more comfortable with that as we went. But yeah, like I said, the first couple, I was just trying to not, implode and just stand on foil and
pretty much.
But again, straight. I mean, it was the right gear. So no, I didn't have any like crazy wipeouts. I had one wipeout winging there actually last year where like, I guess I went over the front, but then the wave came behind me, picked up my board and like pulled my board down, down swell with it. And then the board like popped out. And as I came up out of the water, the board was like right here, like flying at my face. Oh, and it did hit. I mean, it got my arm up fast enough but it did hit me like right in the head. And then I bought a helmet.
Well, that's when you got to call Rémi Finel from Ford Whip Water Impact Protection. He's bringing, we're going to AWSI to go check it out, and he's bringing me I'm going to get a new helmet off of him and then a new impact vest. Because a funny thing for all of us wetsuit riders, as soon as you get into non-wetsuit riding conditions, and I like wearing an impact vest in Hawaii, I'm too little for this thing. So let me see if I can pull it up. A little shout out to those guys, Ford Whip, because they make some really good equipment. And let me see if I can
the safety gear. I mean, I didn't ride. I still don't ride with an impact vest all the time. I was definitely wearing it when we were towing, but if I go winging, I don't wear an impact vest most of the time. If it was massive and like super windy, I probably would. But and that's not to say that I shouldn't. I probably should, but I've got a really comfortable. It's like a soft helmet from Mystic, and I just don't even really notice I'm wearing it. So, and after that one incident, it just seems smart. Little like helmet caps are great too, low profile.
So I'm getting
we definitely have like a sun issue here. We need a visor of some sort.
Yeah, a bit of visor. Yeah, I'm getting a Whipper 2.0, and I'm also getting the WeFlex Pro 2.0, which I'm looking forward to just for the high vis. It kind of looks like a pretty cool helmet.
Mm-hmm. I actually did that. I bought like a gray one, and then I was like, after I got it, I was like, wait, why didn't I get like they had a red one or something more visible? But maybe I'll do something about that. One of the other guys I ride with just painted his with spray paint, and
I was like, that works.
Some high vis like fluorescent spray paint. Yeah, maybe you can get these guys to hook us up and outfit the NC Foil School crew.
Yeah, I can definitely talk to them. We're going to try the Low Pro as well. And because the Low Pro is something, and I wanted to get a medium
you can
this
wear
time.
A harness with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, I'm going to check that out. They're going to bring some stuff. Just looking forward to that helmet. I like wearing, even if I'm just in Arashi and Maui, I can still dive underneath the waves perfectly fine. But it gives me that extra float just in case something does happen and I'm at uppers pretty far out. I lose my gear and then I can come in. Because one day I was out in 40 or 42 or something on a 3.5, and the older guy that I was riding around, because we would always be the only two out there, he lost his kit, but thankfully I was able to catch it for him. But having a little bit of float, and I didn't get into any trouble duck diving with it, so I wouldn't see that being, because I didn't know if I would get caught up a little bit more if it would throw me, but it was fine. Yeah. It just gives you enough float to stay up. It's almost the same float you get off a harness in a wetsuit, a little bit less actually. Because harness and wetsuit, you can pretty much be buoyant on itself. This gives you less, but you can kind of just keep yourself out of trouble a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, and just like the impact protection, if you do hit a fin or a foil or whatever,
true,
it feels a little safer. I mean, it's going to protect you from anything but a full on, land on your high aspect foil. So.
Yeah, get that in the jugular. I don't know if anything will.
I mean, if something like that happens, then like that was just.
It's your time.
It was your time. Yeah.
So, what is your school called? Because I would love to go down there and check that thing out.
Yeah, it's just NC for North Carolina, NC Foil School, and it's amazing. We're teaching all disciplines. Myself, I mostly teach the winging and e-foiling. We've got my partner Dale's a really experienced surfer, big wave surfer, and then surf foiler. We got a few other people in the crew teaching different disciplines. But one of the coolest things that we did this summer that we had great success with people was doing like immersion clinics where, people who are seeing foiling, have never done it and they're not sure exactly what direction they want to go. So we do like a taste of all the different disciplines. So you come in, you learn how to foil on an e-foil, and then we do intro to winging, intro to stand-up paddle. I was in the stand-up paddle industry, and I used to be an event organizer. So I've gotten coaching myself from all the grades in stand-up paddleboarding. So I'm able to coach paddleboarding or performance paddle technique that applies really well to, stand-up paddle foiling. So we get people tuned up with that, foil assist, like foil drive, basically any discipline people want to get into. And so when the people come in and they learn how to foil, get, capture their imagination, excitement about foiling by getting them to ride the e-foil. And then we, get them hands-on with the gear and the beginning phases of learning all the other disciplines, and then they can decide what direction they want to go. So we've got guys who have come through that process, and one guy decided he didn't really want to do any of the other stuff. He just loved the e-foil, so he got an e-foil. Another guy went foil drive. Third guy's, I think, super into winging. So like it's all across the board. And it just gives people the opportunity to sort of try before you buy, before you make that big commitment and invest in all the gear, and then go out and decide like, oh man, this is too hard, or it doesn't work with my lifestyle. One of the big things I do is like really talk to people about their like schedule, where they live, of course, the conditions they have, and then their schedules and their lifestyle. For example, if you live here and, say you work in the mornings, but you're free in the afternoon. Well, it's windy in the afternoon here. So a surf, foiling discipline might not be the best for you. Maybe you want to go to winging because that's when, that's what you can do in the afternoon here is wind sport.
Yeah, good point.
It's vice versa. If you're like, oh, I'm with my kids after work, or I work late every day, but my mornings are free. Like, well, mornings when it's glassy. So, and that's when the inlets are fantastic for subfoiling. So maybe subfoiling's for you. But just how does foiling fit into your lifestyle and what's going on in your life? Really important question to answer before you go out and invest a lot of money in gear and start pursuing something if it's not going to, you're not going to have the opportunity to get out and put in the time that it takes to learn it. But,
yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely. I used to be a learn it myself person. Actually, windsurfing taught me this. Like I just would read the magazine articles back in the day or whatever, and just go out and do it and just, whatever, I didn't realize how minuscule progress I was making until we went to Hatteras one year. I was about 5 years into my windsurfing journey, and there were no lessons available in Chicago where I lived. So went to Hatteras, Ocean Air, whichever shop was offering lessons. So I signed up for a lesson, and I'm telling you, in like the first 5 minutes of the lesson, he actually had me go sail out and then come back. He was like, I'm gonna have you sail out, come back, and I'll just tell you what you need to work on. I didn't even get out of earshot. He would just start yelling, no. He called me back in, and he just corrected just a handful of little things. Like I wasn't getting my harness correctly. I wasn't putting, getting mass-based pressure, just the stuff that you don't realize you're not doing correctly until you have that coach to tell you. So now I'm just like, if I want to learn anything, I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to get lessons, because it just cuts the learning curve down by so much. And that's why we do what we're doing, and we love it. Like just getting people out there. Most of the people that we get on the e-foil are up and flying in their first lesson. And that's so incredible for them to just have that experience. They're having a great time. If you were trying to do it on your own, you'd be out there day after day after day. We actually have one guy in town. He's lives 2 doors down from the school, and he bought a foil drive this year. And it's been all summer, and he's still going out and sort of trying to get up and falling off and get up and fall off. And I'm just swing by and hey, you could come take a lesson if you want, man. And he's just, it's just that kind of guy. He's just no, I'm going to get it eventually. I'm like, man, you could have been surfing all summer. So,
true. There is that aspect of things to help speed up your basic learning curve out of the painful stage to at least get into the fun zone. And then the fun zone is so big that you can, through the learning progression, that makes complete sense. And then you go to ncfoilschool.com.
Yeah, exactly.
To book your lessons.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Hey, for the Matt, plug. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for coming on too and chatting about that storm, because I know that Cash's video is coming out soon. We're looking forward to seeing that.
I can't wait to see it. Yep.
And it looks pretty epic, and it's making me Jones a little bit for our Lake Ontario sessions that will hopefully, I'm picking up I got some demo sales from Maui, so I got a 4, 5, and a 5, but then also I'm all good all the way down to a 3 if we happen to get 40 plus. But anyways, we probably won't. But
I just think it's so cool, like all the different micro cultures around the sports, all the water sports. Living in the Great Lakes, you definitely have it's got its own scene, and it's legitimate. It's not I mean, it's the people there are as serious about the sports as anybody, and good athletes, doing really cool things, and the conditions are legit. They don't happen as often as some places, but they're legit. And then, of course, Hood River's like its own thing, and Maui's its own thing. And then, like, when I moved down here to the East Coast, again, just like getting into hurricane culture, East Coast hurricane culture, like that's a real thing that people really spend a lot of time thinking about, and it's been super fun. Like, we haven't gotten great waves every year, but we've had a bunch. Like, since I've lived here 8 years, and like Hurricane Larry was amazing a couple of years ago, and but it's just like something to get to be excited about. You're on the hunt, you're like following the weather, and watching the storms and seeing what's going to happen, and thinking about, well, maybe we got to go to Hatteras, or maybe we got to go south, to catch it. And it's just really cool. Like, it's fun to have that excitement and drive to get out there and adventure.
We drive a little bit more, obviously, than other spots, because Sandbanks, for example, for me, from my place out there is about 3 hours. You can do it in a day. It's a 6-hour drive, but it's packing your car and then driving at whatever, if you leave early to get there for 10, and then you're driving in the dark, and it's the anticipation of the entire day, and then will it deliver, and then you finally get your session. All that is really, really fun. It doesn't have to just be the session itself. There's all this other aspect of stuff, which is true, because we don't have much of if you're not 10 minutes away from your local break, you have to enjoy the build up and play your music on the way there, kind of thing, and get stoked for it. So yeah,
that's how my life was when we were in the Great Lakes too, because I was like an hour from Lake Michigan, and same thing. Like, you had to have a half day to go do anything, and then I'd go. You'd be again like poring over the weather charts and everything, and then drive all the way down there and hope you could get planing. Maybe you'd gotten and it wasn't enough wind, and you'd slog around and like never even get planing on your windsurf kit and just be bummed. That's how I got into stand-up, because there was like, something to do when there wasn't wind. But you got to come down here. I was just listening to your interview with, was it Brendan? You just released the other day. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about the burger joints in Hood River.
Yeah, man.
So you got to come down here, because we got the best burger. Possibly in America. Best burger in Wilmington, though, at Spoonfed Kitchen. And I will buy you a burger, and we'll go out and foil.
Sick, man. Actually, let me see. I'm going to be in Butte. I'm going to Butte, Montana on my way back, because they got those pasty things, which are insane.
The pasties?
The pasty? I don't know how to pronounce them. Yeah.
That's a Great Lakes thing, too. That's like a Minnesota thing, isn't it? I think I had those the day I almost got killed on Lake Superior. I think we had pasties that afternoon. Yeah, they usually make them with venison. It's like a little hand pie, right?
Yeah, exactly. But these things are a little bit bigger, and I'm just looking up to see how far. Yeah,
we're not anywhere near Butte. We're like
no. I was just looking to see how far it was to get down there, but then I'd have to get back.
Yeah, think about when you go to Florida. Like, when you go to Florida, you'll be on the East Coast. That might be a time to like.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Divert up here for a little bit. It's
we'll
not
see if we
ideal
can get
in the winter. It's a little colder, but you're used to that.
Yeah, we're pretty much used to it. We're gonna see how Foiling Week lines up. But anyways, thanks, Matt. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is great. Super fun to chat and see you again, and have fun at AWSI. I don't think I'm gonna make it, man. But
no, yeah, it should be pretty cool. My brother's looking for a new kite, so we're gonna come down. He's part of our team on the show, so he'll come down, test a bunch of new kites. We're going to be able to test a bunch of new foil. I know Cabrina is coming out.
Yeah, the new Cabrina thing. I'm excited about that, actually. The Mike Slab collab, huh?
Yeah, so they're kind of stoked and jonesing on that. They wanted us to try that.
Can you let me know how that is? Because we were trying to demo it, and I haven't had a chance yet. They were going to send one up here, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have a video about their gear coming out, so stay tuned for Cabrina.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that.
Mystic. Apple Tree, we're gonna have one. We got a couple other brands as well.
Great
of stuff that's gonna be coming out, so it'll be a fun time.
I love it. I'll be following along.
All right, Matt. Talk soon, buddy.
All right, Luke. Yeah. Have a great day. See ya.
Bye, everybody.